Thank you, Gene. Thank you, Joe. I'd like to thank the Academy. Hello, my name is Raikes, and I'm supposed to be the funny guy. Actually, I'm up here to talk to you about something very serious. When I put my hat in the ring to speak at graduation tonight, there's something about my Seattle Academy experience which I wanted to get across to you all. Now, of course, there's also something in the prospect of getting up on a stage and performing in front of an audience, since I've grown quite an affinity for doing so. Indeed, many of you have seen me as Groucho Marx, or an NSYNC band member, or a Raikes. The list goes on and on. And I agree. A performer is a great part of who I am today. But it was not always so. Less than 4 years ago, I was a freshman. Timid, shy, known not for my eloquent speeches, but rather for my incessant computer game playing. More importantly, I was a victim to my own personal isolation. Or to put it in the words of Pink Floyd, around myself, I had built a wall. All the potential that I had was locked up inside of this wall. And to the outside world, I was just a geek. Okay. But not a cool and quirky geek like you see today. Just a very tragic, even pathetic geek. But bit by bit, those walls were torn down. And when what those walls contained were released, the world embraced its contents, and I became a better person in the process. Now, how do I win from that hopeless little creature to the person you see before you? It's one of the unsung parts to the Seattle Academy maturation process, the likes of which I wish to describe to you tonight. Seattle Academy prides itself on its atmosphere of performance, and rightfully so. By placing its students in front of each other, they create this silent agreement that at one point, their students are expected to place their dignity and reputation on the line. Most of the time, these students try their hardest and everything turns out fine, and the audience has a great time. Sometimes, these students mess up, and the audience has an even better time. But more often than not, something else happens. A student who takes a risk discovers within himself something that is beautiful, which the school has crafted into something truly wonderful up on the stage, and then the audience has the best time of all. These students become the role models, the people that we look up to and say, gee, I wish I could be like them. And because they are SAS students, they approach their talents not with selfish vanity, but rather with humility and a sense of community. They share these talents with the students because they hope that those students will take similar risks and find within themselves something beautiful. Indeed, I owe a lot to those students who stood up on stage before me, students that I pointed to and said, I want to be like them when I'm a senior. Their talent, but more so their goodwill, are the reason I stand before you today. And I can only hope that I was able to pay forward that graciousness during my years at SAS. When I saw these students put their dignity on the line, it inspired me to tear down my own walls. But how? I didn't know. I needed help. And much of that help comes from the ladies and gentlemen you see on the stage before you. There was something truly wonderful about the class of 2009. Our class has something that not every class has, and that is an ability to temporarily throw away our individual vanities and show immense class spirit and unity. One student accused our class of drowning our individuality with our class pride. I respectfully disagree. When I wore my outfits, I joined a community. And it was not in those seas of purple which I drowned. Rather, I gained a voice. A very, very purple voice. With spandex involved. I have to thank my peers. They could have ignored me as a student who was new, who did not go to middle school with them, who they did not know and had no reason of knowing, but they did not. They picked me up off the ground when I needed them most. They stretched out their hands, and many of my peers did small things to give me recognition that they don't even know had a very important impact on the person I am today. Because of them, I was able to take a chance and make some mistakes along the way, because I knew the benevolence of those watching me. Now that those walls are gone, I've made a pretty good name for myself. But I would not be here if my walls were still built up. The community, the structure, the students themselves, everything played an important role in bringing me here tonight. To return the favor, I wish to pass it on. There's so much potential within us that has been untapped because it is hidden. Too often do we not go the distance because we say, oh, this is who I am, and these are what my limitations are. Tonight, I'm asking you to take away those perceived limitations and go the distance. And I'm asking you to help those do the same. Because once, I considered myself hopeless. But if long ago, I had defined myself as that crazy little kid who just played computer games all day, let's just say, I would not be nearly as interesting as I am today. Put in the words of Groucho Marx, now I must be going.